Hello and welcome to my Snowpiercer Season 1 Episode 2 Prepare to Brace recap and review. So for anyone who watched the first episode and weren't really too sure whether the series was for them or not, this second episode, or at worst the third, should decide that. I enjoyed this episode significantly more than the first. The first spent more time setting up the train than the characters, whereas this episode did a better job at both. As stated in the opening, persistence is the main theme of the episode. Persistence of Mulaney and those trying to keep the train alive, and the persistence of Layton. We learn a bit about Mulaney this episode, including that by the look of a picture she had a kid. Or maybe still has one, but I'd say he or she died during the frost from the situation. Also, a little nod is a Wilfred pin being upside down on Mulaney, making an M for Mulaney. It would be an interesting thing to see what the relationship between Mulaney and Wilfred was, because I'd say it has a massive influence on why she's making the decisions now. Also, a very symbolic scene was the Say It Ain't So Joe by Murray Head performance. This to me seems like a metaphor for Mr. Wilfred, with some of the lines such as clinging to his charm and smile, the image and the empire are falling apart, referring to the train of course as the empire. And one man's world held the country together, with the country being the train and the people on it. We also get some backstory on Layton and Zara's relationship in the old world, and we learn that the murdered Sean was a snitch for Mr. Wilfred, or by the look on Mulaney's face, of course, for her. We also hear Layton telling a story about cannibalism in this episode, specifically cannibalism in the tail, which I'm pretty sure him talking about the heart was just him taking the piss of those up train who don't know any better. I'm not denying that it happened, but I'd say the story about the heart is for dramatic effect. I could be wrong though. Anyway, during a massive avalanche that almost destroys the train, the cattle section of the train has its windows broken, causing everyone in there and the cattle to freeze to death in under a minute. Which makes sense as outside it's almost twice as cold as the Antarctic. We also hear it's an extinction event, which is taken to mean that there are no more cows, so there will be no beef ever again, pretty much. But the parts of Sean are found until the security officer is starting to warm up to Layton a lot, with them being as close as they can to friends, but it's really just a mutual respect, I'd say. Also, one of the biggest things to take away from the episode is the scene with Mulaney about the drawers. In the background we hear about how important the program is, revealing that there are in fact many more rooms with drawers, which are likely currently empty or possibly not, but I'd say they are. My theory from this is that they are possibly thinking about putting certain people in the drawers so they can wait it out until the ice melts, while certain people stay awake and keep the train going. This makes a lot of sense, as it would solve consumption issues of oxygen, food and water, and would make sense to test their effectiveness on criminals and on tailies. We are also introduced to Chrono. Chrono in the film is highly explosive and highly addictive, with us learning in the film that it is in fact industrial waste, a byproduct of certain machines. It will likely follow those same rules here, and in the end we see Layton breaking out of his cell, and drawing a map for the tailies, getting caught to ensure that they have time to pick it up, which we don't see it get picked up, but I think it's safe to assume that it was. We also learn that Miles is going up train on an apprenticeship. The end of this episode is a massive improvement on the ending of the first. It ends kinda suddenly, but it's much better than wasting a climax, with Layton essentially saying that the tailies are much more civilized than those who are higher up. The scene was acted out very well, but I feel the writing was missing something, with a little more of a punch, something like, we're the ones at the back, but you're the ones still catching up, or just something, But good episode, definitely a show I want to stick with. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to check out the Snowpiercer playlist on screen if you haven't seen my review of the first episode yet. And if you liked the 100, feel free to check out my reviews for the latest season. Thanks for watching and make sure to subscribe for more. Bye.